The madness continues in Orlando. Joseph Pavone here, Nick Gelso, Bobby Manning. Guys, where do you want to start with this? You want to go J.R. Smith?
I'm gonna go J.R. Smith out of the. I'm gonna go J.R. Smith out of the
right,
front of this because
let's go J.R.
Think of how things have changed. We just watched The Last Dance, and they have HD cameras. They have all this great technology to document all this. And when people in 20 years were going to look back at the NBA bubble, he was going to be doing it on IG Live with all the hearts flashing and the comments flashing. And he got shut down right in the middle of it. He had it in the hallway. He had it with his mac and cheese. He had it with everything. We were getting all this inside scoop on the bubble, and they shut it right down. This was the best thing going for them this week, and they shut it down.
Who's they? The
Someone
NBA
did. Someone did. J.R. Smith's
NBA or the organization. He got a text mid-video. He goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, it was the funniest thing. You got to check it out, Nick, if you haven't seen it." But he's just like, "Oh, I got to go."
The Lakers shut it down, in other words. The Lakers shut it down?
Or LeBron?
LeBron probably shut it down.
Or did LeBron shut it down?
If you ask me, LeBron shut it down.
Yeah, here's the thing. J.R. Smith couldn't care less. Bubble, Instagram, couldn't care less. The food I care about, how bad the food is down at. No, truthfully, here's my thoughts on the food. The NBA looks very petty if they continue to go down that route with the food while people are suffering and dying in the same state.
Let me ask you this, Nick. You're the former restaurateur. Is it possible to make food look good on a plastic container?
Absolutely. It most definitely is. The food is definitely terrible. I won't doubt them on that.
Okay, so what's bad
However,
about it?
I mean, I texted Cantor and said, stop. Huh?
What's so bad about it? I don't get it. Like, what's so bad about the food?
Complaining about the food?
No, what's so bad about the food?
What's so bad?
Oh, well, I mean, Ennis had it was like 2 pieces of bread, a single, a Kraft single piece of cheese, and a little mustard. So, like, it looked pretty bland and bad, but the point here, I love cheese sandwich, but I mean, these guys, the point here is people are dying in that state.
The real sin was the dry pasta.
I remember the hustle, man. I remember the struggle.
Yeah. People are dying in that state. The NBA goes down there and looks very brave. And the one thing that I love that Jason Tatum, of all people, who's usually pretty muted, says, he doesn't want to miss out on being history. The NBA has a chance to make history by doing this, not just for the play and the bravery to play, but also the social injustices and all the issues. And I don't want to take anything off that topic. So if the food becomes a topic, because what you're doing is you're giving radio stations that I shall not name on this show ammunition to say, oh, spoiled NBA players. And then the narrative changes from what it is really all about to the food and the accommodations, right? So I don't want to hear about the food. I don't want to hear about LeBron not wearing a name. LeBron can do whatever he wants. LeBron has been more than wonderful to charities and for civil rights. And he's no Michael Jordan. LeBron has been on the forefront of every social issue since he became a star. If he doesn't feel like he's part of the idea, he's not going to embrace it. So if he doesn't want to wear whatever on the back of his shirt, fine. I don't care. I'm not going to bitch about him. Right? If it wasn't for LeBron, there'd be no bubble because all he had to do was say, Mr. Silver, I don't think I'm going to play. And then there would have been no bubble in Florida. So everybody should stop bitching about LeBron. Players should stop bitching about the food. Let's just play basketball.
Well, does it get worse, do you think?
It's not looking good so far. And if we're being real about it, the big concern is you have 2 positive tests inside at this point. Breaking news as of today.
Who?
Yeah. They don't have it out yet, and then you have others on the outside.
There's 2 inside the bubble.
Yes, this was 360 or so players tested inside, 2 positives, and they've been brought off the site. So I guess we'll figure out.
Oh, we got to know who it is then. Where's Ennis? Isn't he tweeting about it?
We'll be finding out soon, I'd assume. And then you have Russell Westbrook, who's positive.
Oh, yeah.
Nikola Jokic, and then James Harden's not there. We don't know. Is he positive? Kawhi Leonard's not there. Is he positive?
Let's make one thing clear. Guys, this is not a bubble. The most, and this is not a condescending statement, but most of the employees of the hotels are what? They're lower middle class to lower class. They are, in some cases, minorities. They are leaving the bubble every day and coming back into the bubble every day. So every day, they are potentially carrying the disease. Correct or no? So how do they keep them safe?
It's very difficult in Florida because Florida now has more cases than New York in April. We remember what was going on in New York in April.
Dude, I couldn't drive home.
And
yeah,
this is,
I know.
I've been an ardent supporter of the bubble, the plan. Fauci approves it, all this stuff. I think they had a good thing in place, but the context when so many people, summertime, the sunshine's going, all of a sudden you're gonna have basketball on TV. People feel like things are normal because you can't see this threat. Nobody's inside the hospitals.
And there's no communication at the top of the funnel in our government telling us what we need to do.
So
What's being told is lies. So the point here, I'm sorry to interrupt you, is that the NBA is leading the way. They are on the forefront. And if the NBA goes down, so goes every other league. And I will tell you this now, the NFL will not play a game in 2020 or 2021. Not happening. So, and especially if the NBA can't contain the bubble with 300 players, that's 3 NFL teams. Think about it. You will have 100 people on one team. Plus, they're so arrogant. They're doing no preparation.
Oh, they're saying they're going to have fans in the stands. It's like another world.
They're in the same world as, I don't want to get political, but they are in the same world with our president.
And that's exactly why I still believe the NBA is going to be successful with this, and I still back them in what they're doing because they've been methodical, they've been careful about it. Have there been slips in the road? I'd say there's been about 7 in 7 days, but they have a plan and they're sticking to it.
That's 7 for 7. I'd love to hear Joe Sway's, because I haven't talked to you, Joe Sway. What's your opinion on this?
I don't know, Nick. You talked for like 3 minutes straight. I was gonna ask though, Nick, Bobby, if
nothing changes,
like James Harden or Russell Westbrook or Jokic, if these guys test positive in the postseason, at what point does the NBA have to pull the plug on this whole thing?
Adam Silver said it's considered like an injury, and they continue to play. I don't see how that's possible. Do you? Anybody? Then they have been in contact with everyone, from the trainers to the towel guys to the cameraman to the everyone. I don't know how. Joshua, you tell me. How do they keep playing? What if Milwaukee, God forbid, loses Giannis?
And it's not an injury. It's so hard to treat it like that.
You have to stick to your word, right, Bobby?
We've had NBA players who have lost family members through the course of this. All of a sudden, if one of them's in the bubble and they get sick further down the line, I mean, there's so many different stages throughout this where something horrifying could happen. And that's where me, as someone who supports this, has a little bit of pause myself, because we're really going to step over a guy like he stubbed his toe or, twisted his knee or that kind of thing when, people are going to be in hospitals all over the place. Where does a player even go to the hospital if they need it right now in Florida?
They have one on campus there. They have it on campus. So the other thing, Bobby, with that is too, one thing, I mean, I've been against the bubble pretty much, haven't I? I pretty much said it's not worth risking next year for half of a dysfunctional season, but whatever. What really concerns me, and I think can't happen, is the families being allowed to come during the second round of the playoffs. That can't happen, because not only are they potentially bringing it in, but they're putting non-employees at risk. The liability has to be, could you imagine the sponsorship money that they must have been losing if they didn't do anything to compensate for the expense of this whole venture? I mean, it has to be astronomical.
They had to try, though. They had to try.
No, they didn't.
I think they did, for the sake of the cap, for the sake of the
Why did they keep it? For the sake of the cap, man. It's better for the league for the cap to go in the other way anyway. But why couldn't they go up north? Why did they have to go to Florida? I mean, I know ESPN is there and everything, but when they found out that was the new epicenter, why did they stay going there?
I think they've reached a point of no return, Nick. I mean, everything that they have in place, and then now here we are in July, sort of crept up on all of us, But
it's funny, Joe Sway. It's funny, Joe Sway. Like, you talk about voice of reason. There's no voices of reason in today's world. But Greg Popovich is still one, and he says the safest place to be in the world is in the bubble. Greg Pop does not pull punches. He's not a PR guy. He's not getting paid to say that. So something has to be said for that if Pop's saying that. I mean,
I don't think
I tend to agree with that too. I mean,
what did you say, Joe Sway?
I don't think Pop would be there if he didn't feel safe.
Oh, he wouldn't. And if he didn't feel that it was safe for his players, he'd be the first. Yeah, you know that. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who has taken the mantle as a leader, but Greg Popovich is he's the most powerful non-player in the NBA, and he says it's the safest place.
The plan is good, but does it have trips in the road? And we're seeing them already. I mean, the Celtics are bringing in a new coach in the next week or two. There's going to be new people coming in. There's going to be people leaving, as we've seen with the positive cases. And then you talk about the families. There's just so much movement in and out of this thing. That's where the concern always was.
It's not a bubble.
And it's hard to mitigate that. I mean, yeah, 100%. It's not, and they're not even claiming that it is. Because it's not.
And look at what the MLB is going through every day. Every day there's players. And I don't even know. I mean, this week could go on for hours. What is the NHL doing? I mean, they are the worst PR-driven league in the history of sports. They were first to announce they're playing. Are they playing? No one seems to know.
NHL is going to Canada.
That's the safest place to be, sadly, if you're an American. Canada has handled it perfectly right on our border and has had 7.
And they've
to our
said,
7.
America, stay put. We'll wait to bring you in for a little while. You can't go anywhere in the world right now. I mean, that should be the biggest. That should be the biggest wake-up call right now to everybody. An American passport gets you nowhere in the world right now.
And that, what you just said, that is so impactful. An American passport used to be your ticket to everything, and you can't get anywhere. And what's even worse about it is the optics are so bad that they can't even put good PR around it. Like normally if something like this was going to happen, the two governments would get together and spin it. There's no spin. It's more like keep your passport, keep your COVID. We gave you the recipe to follow and you effed it up. So stay put. The NBA, I don't know, Josue. There's my answer. I don't know.
Let us know.
I know I'm not at the Garden.
He's Nick Gelso, Bobby Manning. I am Josue Pavone. This is CLNS Media.